Hey, what's up YouTube? It is some more painting to get done here. Time for me to get going on this Santana Ortega model. Limited edition henchman only model right now. And I've been painting up all the stuff from Gen Con, and really looking forward to getting this lady going. So we're going to do that. I moved the camera a little bit closer, so I hope that maybe this time you guys can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. So we're going to start with the eyes. So for me, there's actually only one eye to paint here. I go ahead and do the first step, so fill in the entire socket black. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's okay if you're a little messy. In fact, you might want to bring it out a little bit so that give yourself some room to work here. So while that's drying, there's only the one eye. Oh wait, I got a zombie here at the bottom. So let me get the zombie's eyes as well. Might as well, while we're on the subject of eyes. So bear with me, I'm dealing with yet another change to the camera setup, and I hope that this is beneficial to somebody. So we're just going to do that. Give him some big old raccoon eyes right now. Just layer it down right there while we mix up the next color. So eyes are very tricky, and they're very critical. A lot of painters will use pens or so forth to do eyes, and I think that's a great idea. If you don't really do eyes very well, I don't do eyes very well, but I'm kind of an old school painter, so I try my best with just standard white and black. So I'm mixing up my white right now. So let me get going on that. Okay. One thing to note, when you're mixing up white will settle very quickly. And that's part of the reason why eyes are tricky, is because white likes to settle out. And it likes to kind of clump, and that has to do with its high pigment content. So I'm going to hit the pupil there of my eye. Now often the paint will just flow where it needs to flow, especially if you've got it thin properly and you dab the brush out properly. Now I'm holding the model this way, and so that means that the white may have a tendency to flow towards the nose and up to the hat. Not the end of the world. You can always come back and fix it with the black. And doing the zombie. The zombie has kind of uneven eyes. Now one thing to note with these weird models, the new plastics, is that proportions are absolutely perfect. So that means eyes are going to be a little smaller. And they're going to be a little more difficult to do. So I normally go in and hit the whites in twice, just to make sure it's a nice bright white. And painting under a hat also quite difficult. I want to make sure that my eyes are nice and bright. There we go. And then we go in with the black. When you're doing the black, you gotta go, the final part's gonna be really fine, so I'm just gonna go in there and dot, 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 dot. Yeah, I don't even think you can pick that up on the camera, can you? Let's see. Focus, focus. No, it's okay. I tried. I'm sorry, guys. Do a little more cleanup here. So yeah, that that I fortunately did not show up on camera. And I'm going to clean up the rest of it. There we go. And let me dot the eyes here. And this zombie. Okay, so let's talk about flesh. For female models, I tend to stay in the lighter range, and I go with these three colors and mix my way in between them. I typically start with basic skin tone and just a little drop of this game color heavy skin tone. However, this is a lighter model. I don't really need that. I may go with my basic flat flesh and actually work my way towards light flesh. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and get started. Okay. First set, the very first layer is down. You can see it's not really covering that well, and that's because I go super thin, and I've got a ray of sunlight here. The sun is starting to come down, so hopefully it'll be down for the rest of this video. Yeah, and I decided to paint in the zombie flesh with that basic flesh tone. I'm definitely not going that way, but sometimes doing something like that helps me see. So what I'm doing now is I'm starting to step up some light flesh into that same mix, and we're going to start doing our highlights. Now, people ask, how do you do your flesh? And honestly, with how fast I paint, flesh is the one area where I sort of take my time, because it is the most important part of the model as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to do a very big highlight. In fact, this is really the base coat of the model. You can see I'm hitting most of the model. I'm going to stay out of that area there right by the hat, because that's where the most shadow is going to be. And I'm going to take this in here up the neck, and then here into the cleavage. Not a lot of flesh on this model. That's cool. But I do enjoy her. So that's one layer. And when you're doing this, the kind of layering I do is very thin. I mean, I go a little more than 1-to-1 with water. With this, I actually, a lot of times I just keep adding water to my mix as I step up layers. I'm actually going to give this another coat, as it's not looking very solid yet. And I'm just going to highlight those same areas. So she's kind of yellowish there in those corners, like in here. You just want to keep hitting those areas. This is such a great looking model. I really enjoy this model. I'm not much of a guild player, but you know, when these models came out, I was really excited to try them out. Or I should say, try my hand at painting them. Not really a guild player, but I do keep a lot of guild crews because they tend to be very good for demos. Alright, so there's that. Let that dry for just a second. And so you go, normally I go a few layers like that. Now I've got to give this some shadow, so I'm going to go with the old school Griffin Sepia. I hear that you can use Seraphim Sepia, which is just as good. I don't know if that is for a fact. Another good one to use is like Ogren Flesh. And I'm sorry I've got the old names. I have not bought any of the new GW washes. So I'm going to start putting the wash down. Now the main thing with the wash is I'm trying to get that little hairline border there between flesh and clothing. So wherever flesh meets clothing, I want to be in there. And you know, things like the small of the back there, where I want a little bit of shadow to fall into, is also very good. Okay, we're back. The wash is now dry, and I'm just going back over with that mix of light flesh and basic skin tone. I'm just going to go back over the base coat here. When you're doing this flesh, it's very important to keep things nice and thin so that they flow out well, because you want to have a smooth textured skin. You don't want to end up with brush marks or areas where your pigment is clumped. Okay. You can see the makeup is down. Whoa. Come on, Joes. There we go. Makeup's down. And I'm doing the final highlight. So you can use the final highlight to clean up the makeup, unless you don't have to. She kind of has thin lips, didn't realize that. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do the top here. This is Model Color Flat Blue mixed with some black gray. It's going to be kind of a bluish charcoal-y effect here. I'll put this down. Make sure we get that, get the cuts down correctly for this little blouse. It's more of a t-shirt actually, and it's a little tight, so I'm going to highlight this up. This is a great looking model. Oh, alright. Be back in just a little bit after the shirt's done. Okay, shirt is down. Now I'm going to do the base coat of the jacket and the pants, which are going to be brown. Going with the Malifaux Model Color Beige Brown, which is one of my more versatile colors, because it's I find it very easy to work with. So I'm just going to paint the jacket in. Alright, be back once this is done. Okay, here's the base coats coming along. Pretty simple, beige brown, then flat brown for the belts and so forth. And I'm starting the pistol work. So this is black gray, and all I'm really doing with this is just highlighting it up. So start off black gray, and just giving that a quick highlight. And like I said, I'm going to actually do the hair this color. See if I like it or not. I was thinking about doing something a little wild, like a little purple or something. Then, I don't know. this color, this model is so kind of drab with the rest of the color scheme, and I hardly ever paint in like the pure browns and the grays. I think I have my Sonia Crid Crew done this color, but you know, it's just not for me. Painting mostly Arcanists and stuff like that, I tend to go blues and blacks and grays and, you know, a little bit more cool colors as opposed to these earthy tones that the guild seems to be quite fond of. Okay, so we got a nice base coat going. You can see I started the zombie. Up next is I'm going to do my turbo wash. You guys, some of you guys that have seen the videos before know what this is. This is normally go in with a couple of different washes, and what I think I'm going to start with here is I'm going to start with some Devlin Mud, just to give all the browns a little more shadow to them. Going to bring out the main body of the model here. Now people look at Devlin Mud as cheating because of just how well it does its job. And speed painters love Devlin Mud. They love to use it. And it's a good wash, it really is. You know, the only thing I would say is you still, if you're gonna use Devlin Mud, be sure that you still do your proper highlighting and your layering. Try not to lean too hard on it, because there are going to be some looks that you want to achieve that you would have to avoid using Devlin Mud, because it is a duller shade. Sometimes you can't use dull shades. Like for example, there's with my showgirls, there is no Devlin Mud used on any of them. It's really just whatever colors I was working with, and they all had to be layered up and highlighted properly. And in my opinion, they look better because of that. You know, because it's not just, oh yeah, look, I'm just gonna run Devlin Mud all over this, and it's gonna provide exactly the shade that I want. And in this case, it does. I mean, for me and for the look I'm going for, this does actually provide exactly the shade I'm looking for. That just might not be true for other models that I paint. There goes the Devlin Mud shade is down. I'm gonna change gears here. Do a little bit of black for the hair. So sometimes you can use some black shade for things like gray hair, just to help, you know, add a little more contrast to the hair. I think it looks pretty cool, actually. If I really wanted to get weird, I could have done like blue shade on this gray. Give the character a little more of an anime feel to her. And some people, and I think I've done that with, yeah, my Perdita has purple hair, which is essentially just a gray, and very similar gray to what I'm using here. I think I used basalt gray and some purple wash. See, that's pretty nice. I like that. Well, black shade in the hair there. Give a little bit of black shade here on the gun. Just give that a little more contrast to it. Okay, so here we are at the finish line. Paint is still drying on this model. Overall, pretty cool model. I really like the pose. Just really think it's a dynamic looking model. Really kind of like this new style that Weird is doing with really kind of hyper realistic body proportions and just really nice energy to the model. It's a little smooth for my taste, but pretty good. I normally don't work in these like really dull browns and stuff, but I think it's okay. It just doesn't quite pop compared to my other models. So I think if I do another one, I may go a little bit brighter, a little more towards what I normally do with this type of model. But anyway, that's it for this session. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna watch the footage and hope that the the model was in frame at least some of the time. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.